It is now time for Money Power Politics. And Elon Musk and Donald Trump are fighting again. This time, it seems even bigger. Today, Musk announced that he is launching his own political party, following through on a threat he made last week when he railed against Trump's massive budget bill. Trump slammed his former friend as, quote, off the rails and called him a train wreck. But those attacks will probably sting a lot less than the reaction Musk got from Wall Street. Tesla lost $68 billion in value after the announcement. Investors were hoping that Musk would be turning his attention away from politics and towards his most valuable company. And today, they were officially disappointed. With me now to discuss, Max Chapkin, Bloomberg Businessweek journalist and co-host of the Elon Inc. podcast, and Mark McKinnon, former advisor to both George W. Bush and John McCain. Max, it was barely a month ago Elon Musk said he was stepping away from Washington, stepping away from politics, and refocusing on his business. His investors were thrilled about it. And now he's saying he is starting his own political party and getting in a big old fight with the president. Investors are clearly panicked, not just because Musk isn't going to be paying attention to Tesla, but because potentially the president, the most powerful man in the world, could now be enemies with Elon Musk and go after him and hurt his businesses. What do you make of it?
Yeah, I mean, it's just an incredibly self-destructive series of events, at least from the point of view of Tesla shareholders. And really, I think that the drop would have been greater if investors broadly believed this. I mean, we have a little bit of the same dynamic with Taco with Elon Musk, where a lot of investors figure he will eventually lose interest or somehow back away from these threats. You know, he makes a lot of sort of out there comments on social media. So this, 7% drop roughly, a huge amount of money, $70 billion or so, could actually end up being greater if this goes further, because there are all sorts of ways that President Trump and the U.S. government have to make things, potentially difficult for Elon Musk.
Well, let's take him at his word of what his next plan is, Mark, because he says his political party will focus on electing lawmakers who serve, quote, the true will of the people. Do you think he's going to have any impact? Is it going to hurt the solid wall of the MAGA movement? And lastly, do you think this will of the people is really about the public's best interests or Elon Musk's?
Well, that's packed with a lot of questions, Stephanie, but let me try and pick it apart. First of all, what is the real rationale here? I mean, I think Elon Musk is not trying to not get mad. He's getting even, and he thinks the way to get even with Donald Trump is to do it politically. The reality is that there is a huge appetite for a third party. It's almost impossible to do. I've been involved in a bunch of efforts that have tried, but the American public, their hunger for a third party is growing and growing, especially among younger voters. More than half the country right now wishes there were a third option. They don't want Coke or Pepsi. They want 7-Up or Mountain Dew. So he's tapping into a reality out there. But the other reality is how hard it is to do. But you spend enough money, you can make an impact, and you can certainly be disruptive, and you can shake things up a little bit. And so the question is just how far is he willing to go? And there is another feature here, Stephanie, which is that if he goes to issues like free trade or the deficit, those are issues where a lot of establishment Republicans, people like myself who were attracted to the Republican Party on those issues, have nowhere else to go. The Democrats aren't they're not doing anything about those things. So if he approaches it on the right issue framework, there's a lot of potential out there. And he's talking to Andrew Yang, he's talking to Mark Cuban. So yeah, they could shake things up to some degree.
7-Up, I could go for. Mountain Dew, not so much. Max, what do you think Elon Musk's ultimate goal is here?
I think Mark's right. It's like a revenge quest. I do think the politics here, although it's true that a lot of Americans say they want a third party, it's not clear that they want Elon Musk's third party. We look at what his politics actually are to the extent that he has politics, right? It's something like subsidies for electric vehicle companies and massive cuts to the federal government. Like, neither of those things are super popular. And so again, I don't know that there's a real political program here. It feels like a bunch of tweets. Although if there's one thing we learned, I think, from the 2024 cycle is that Musk is a resourceful guy who has the ability to translate a bunch of tweets into action, into things that can actually have an impact. I think his PAC was much more successful than most political folks had predicted. So who knows? Maybe he can be disruptive here as well.
All right. Well, then, Mark, maybe this ties into your last point, right? Some very high-profile center-right Republicans are leaving Capitol Hill. Others have just been conspicuously quiet. But I'm talking about the new ones: Don Bacon, Thom Tillis. Soon, the only Republicans left, and there are a lot of them, will be those who are 100% in lockstep with Donald Trump. Given that, where does that leave the GOP and its voters ahead of the midterms?
Well, I mean, it means that the purge of the traditional Republican Party, the Republican Party that I was part of with George W. Bush, Ronald Reagan, is gone. Anybody who, and listen, I mean, the irony of this is that, 4 or 8 years ago, I would have said that Thom Tillis and Don Bacon were really super conservative members of Congress that were kind of out of step with the mainstream. And now they are the mainstream, and it's in the MAGA framework. It's not about an ideology. It's about fealty to Trump. And these guys are independent thinkers, and they want to build consensus, make change for the country, work across the aisle. And Trump has made it clear there's no room for them. So that's my point again. Flipping back to Musk again, is where do those people go? Where do the Thom Tillises and the Don Bacons go? They're not Democrats, but they're certainly not Donald Trump Republicans. So there's going to be an opening out there for people like that, and it's just a matter of who can paint the picture the right way.